All right. So we are live. Welcome to the God's Business Podcast. My name is Jonathan, and I'm joined here today with Greg. He's all the way from the west coast of Florida, came in to be on the podcast. So thank you, Greg.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, I didn't mind the travel one bit after our discovery call and such a great chat with where things were at and where they could go. So I was like, yeah, why not have a second great chat? So thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just so you know, and anybody who's watching, I bring on entrepreneurs to talk about how God works in their life
Yeah.
and in their business. And on our previous chat, I learned a lot, and I'm actually super excited to go
Very
deeper
cool.
and deeper in a conversation with you here today. So for those who may not know what your business is, and
Yep.
I know that you do like some handyman services.
Yep.
You actually have multiple businesses doing that,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
why don't you help me and anybody else understand, what your business is today?
Sure. So I operate a handyman service here in Central Florida. M- Basically, I'll do anything. I just show my kids that you can do anything that you want. You can build a shelf, a table, put in a deck, whatever you really set out to do, right? Whatever you have inside you that you can get done, right? So that's pretty much the handyman business. I do it more for joy, working with my hands, having things to do. For so long I had a job that I didn't work with my hands. I didn't have much to do other than point. So it's rewarding too that you put in all the baseboards and they all look straight and they all look good and the homeowner's like, this looks really good. For a long time you don't get that validation in work. So the handyman business is more for me, for the family, gives us the ability to kind of move around and go where we want to go and still be able to help people out. Looking at everybody needs help, right? Why the handyman business really started for us was the wife basically said, you do all this great stuff around the house. Some other people could probably use this too. And then I never really realized that, yeah, hey, there's plenty of people out there that they don't have their sons or daughters around in the state anymore, or around period. So there's a lot of people like that's really my market because
Wow.
I'm online. I provide my presence. So like we kind of talked about that, and it builds an initial rapport right away because like I'm not afraid to be like, hi, I'm online. I'm gonna show up your house and do the same great job I did online. So that's like the big thing there. And then those are the kind of people that reach out to us at My Handyman Can because they see that I'm comfortable enough to voice what's going on. And so those are more of the people, the skeptical people that have worked with shoddy fly-by-night contractors, things like that. Those are the ones that I mainly get because I'm not afraid to say, yeah, there's people like that. And, I'm not going to do the best job at this. You probably don't want me doing that. You can get somebody more experienced doing that skilled stuff. And then they're like, no, just do it. And I'm like, okay. So, and I always tell everybody, hey, I'm going to work on your home just as if it was my own, as if I was leaving my own house. And, nothing I ever do is perfect. But that's also why I have Bespoke Home Solutions. My partner he's Russian, so the bespoke came from him. But it's custom tailored solutions to homeowners' needs. A lot of the builders and contractors in the area, they're like, we're using these products and this is what it is. This is what we can stand behind. La di da. Well, the manufacturers are all providing those warranties to them anyway, so they're really not standing behind anything. They're just looking to make that purchase easier for the homeowner, not so many options, things like this. But when you get into insurance and you're working with Allstate and this policy or State Farm and this policy, those options for that homeowner can be very limited if your negotiation skills or your ability to understand their needs per their policies. If you're not able to do that for them, they can be losing out on very good projects, right? So that's where Bespoke comes in for me. I'm more of the hands and eyes behind the system, and then I lean on the skilled labor for my gutters and siding and roofing. So that's where the Bespoke comes in, and then I have a partner that helps me with that.
Sure. No, that's super cool. So you're helping solve a need for, I mean, that's an interesting idea. It's like especially in Florida,
Yeah.
right? I've been in Florida, and I think you're
Hmm.
originally from Michigan, right?
Hmm.
Which, welcome to Florida.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep.
I've been in Florida for a while. I was born in Pensacola, Florida. So,
Okay.
but mostly all around Florida.
Okay.
I'm in Orlando now. So, it's an interesting thing you mentioned. Like, people are their kids are going off and they're going
Yeah.
away or going,
Yeah.
and leaving the home, right? And
Yep.
leaves the parents and the grandparents sort of like without that sort of help.
Yep.
So you're really solving a need.
Yeah, very vulnerable positions. I think a lot of us are in, to be honest, if you're not educated on your home in general, like don't be a home owner is my advice. The only reason I went to school for heating and cooling was because a good friend of mine, um, he called me one day, he said, Greg, my financial situation's not the best. It's wintertime and my furnace just went out, and so for me, I was working in a factory as operations manager and I'd worked on a lot of like PLC systems and a lot of the hydraulics and stuff. So I kind of had an idea of how to use a multimeter. And I said, well, I'll come over and take a look at it in the middle of the night while this thing went out and you're freezing. And, you know, I was certain that the power to this little thing just wasn't going to it. And then, well, I left and because I told him, this is the best I got for you. Well, he called the furnace company out the next day. They gave him a $6,000 quote, and that's the only option that he had because it was so old. And he called me back like, Greg, I can't get heat. And I said, let's just try it. And I went down to the store and I bought, which later to come find was a high limit switch. And I put this thing in, I put these two wires in, and this guy had heat for the rest of the year, saved up his money, and got a furnace the next year. Actually, his church helped him out.
Wow,
Praise be to God. But enough said, I instantly went, holy cow, there's only 3 HVAC companies from here to here, and they're all doing that. That means a lot of us are getting the wool pulled over our eyes and getting charged for things that we shouldn't as well. So that was the only reason I went to school to heating and cooling was that I was not going to let that happen to me.
wow,
Yeah. So now I just help all my friends. Hey, don't forget, I'm your heating and cooling guy. It's all pro bono work due to the licensing, but I am certified by the EPA. So there's that.
dude, that's exciting. So you're doing it more of out of a mission. It sounds
Yeah.
like it's not like, oh, I can make a lot of money and I can do a lot of
Nah.
this.
Yeah. I was actually just talking to you about exchanging time for money, right? And
Mhm.
I'm not in the season, we'll say, for making money. I'm in the season for providing my God's gifts, my life gifts to others, because then at that return, that's when I'll be blessed. So right now, seeing it as a greedy opportunity, not necessarily seeing it as a growth opportunity, 100%. But then, as everybody knows, I didn't get into sales super long ago. 2021 was my first sales job. We talked about that. But as soon as you feel like you're actually helping versus selling, that's when you're going to start earning. So,
Yeah, it's like Jesus when you serve, you're
boom.
meant to serve, and when you serve, what is it? Last is first, and the first is last,
Boom.
right?
That's what got me all back based, heavily faith based, because all of the walks that I was doing and how I was carrying out my interactions were all in a godly manner. I wouldn't have any other value towards it. I'm not going to try and pull the wool over somebody's eyes, taking advantage of somebody. So as I look at these values, right, I've created, it's very interesting that respect and God fall right in a line with each other. And that's where business comes to play, right? Family first, of course,
Sure.
but yeah, so it's been quite a journey over the last, I'd say, year, just getting to the position that we're in today. But also, over the last, say, 4 years since 2021, prior to that, just kind of getting an understanding of the industry that I'm stepping into from where I was, and then just
Yeah.
kind of rolling with the punches. I think a good saying I picked up along the way was like, the world has a lot of motion. It's very much like an ocean. So if you just ride it like a little tidal wave, you're not going to get rocked by all of the bad storms that come your way. You'll be able to still see those calm, sunny days, but just be that little wave that just goes with the flow. So that's kind of like the
Yeah.
business talk I can give you there is just kind of let things come to you, and don't go digging for problems. There's plenty of problems around here. You just sit back and be the problem solver when it's your turn.
I love that. That's cool. That's cool. And so we talked to you about your business, and you're doing a lot of things with your hands. Are you more, and just like out of curiosity, do you like to more create or you're like more fixing? Because
Yeah.
I know that's you can probably do a little bit of both.
I do, yeah. So creating way more. So I'm helping this one homeowner on Sunday. They have a bed that's like busted up, and they want to be able to pull it out. And their dog is bigger, so then they want storage underneath it. So what I like to do is draft that creation, and then let it on, and then I review it with them and stuff, and then let it unfold production day where they're going, oh, oh, oh. So that's really what I like the most. It's more of the satisfaction when the homeowner's like, that is no longer that's no longer like that. Like, that's really what I like. And then when you can get, if it's a fix it thing.
Sure.
But then when they're like, I can't believe I don't have to stare at that anymore. Like, I'm glad I get to get that painted now. Those are the types of things that really keep me going for it. But yeah, the creation is much better. Although I do find more stress in the creation just because you can't really follow a plan,
Mm,
but it is a little bit more fun because then you're like, well, that didn't work. I'm going to have to try again.
sure, sure. Nice, nice. So now I understand all about your business, right?
Yeah.
Your business,
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
it's growing, and it's building, and like you just mentioned, there's a season for everything, and you
Yeah.
flow with the ocean, right?
Yep. Yep.
You flow with the waves and where you're going.
Yep.
And it sounds like you're doing it right for a better purpose than, not just like money and this, because a lot of,
Yeah.
that there's a stigma for business, I think,
Yep.
in the world. So,
Yep.
thank God that he brings me around the right people
That's right.
to be on the podcast
Yeah.
to help sort of shed that to light. So
Yep.
thank you for sharing with
Yeah.
that.
I think it's a big thing, Jonathan, honestly, because I've seen enough greed in enough businesses to understand that, yeah, you can get to the top with plenty of greed, right? But is how is it when you get there? Just curious,
Mm,
right? So that's what I don't want to do is I don't want to look back at 35-year-old Greg when I'm in my 50s and regret the person that I am. I want to make sure that I walk in a godly manner so that those that do see me can shine in that light as well, knowing, hey, he didn't go out of it, he didn't take anybody down along the way. So,
absolutely. I mean, hey, you're the light of the world. You have you're sharing the values that that were from Jesus, right? Which
yep,
is phenomenal. I mean,
yep,
keep doing that,
yep. Appreciate that.
brother. That's exciting. So, but were you always like that?
No.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So talk to me about like out of high school, right? Where
Oh, out of high school for sure. I was a go-getter. I was ready to rock and rumble. Right out of high school, I think I mentioned to you, it was 2007, so the whole world fell apart then. If anybody that remembers that time, you couldn't get a job to do anything. Like, everybody kind of cinched right in. General Motors was like, I don't know how to make cars. That's just kind of how the world was. So I found a very good opportunity. I got a couple few of my friends, kind of trained them how to do it, and we were burying cable all across the state. And I really got motivated in business until I didn't understand finances, and then taxes really took a eye opening seat in business for me at a young age. And after that, I kind of got my head down a little bit. I kind of said, "Hey, maybe I ran too fast."
mm,
So I did get into a bit of a slump, we'll say. So shortly thereafter the slump, I joined the United States Marine Corps. I spent a nice contract with them in the reserves, and during that time, a good friend of mine said, "Hey, man, you should get a job." And I didn't have a job because of the financial situation I was in. I was like, man, I don't need any more money problems. And so then I was just waiting to go to war. It was 2009. We were going to Helmand Province, Afghanistan. We were in California doing our ITX workup, and we were pulled in as a battalion, and we were told that your troops aren't needed. You're an infantry battalion, and Obama's sending troops home. You're the last battalion on deck, and you're going home. And we were like 17 days from being in country. So at that time, very like, what just happened? I just trained for a couple of years to get us to this position, and then now we're going home. So again, another kick to you. And so you don't really think about these things, but you start getting downer and downer, like the world is literally here to take me down. I don't understand it. I'm fighting hard to do everything I can right. But at the same time, maybe you're just not accepting something else, something that needs to help you blossom or get to the point that you're the real reason that you're here, in some opinions, right?
yeah.
So, so yeah, I listened to my buddy and I got a job. Me and this other friend of mine, we turned in these applications at the same time, the same day. We gave them to the friend to turn them in. The friend had been there a while. The friend still works at that job.
Whoa.
Yeah. So 25 minutes later, I get a phone call. My other friend that turned it in, he didn't ever got a phone call, ever.
Whoa.
The next day, I had a job. My friend had never got a job at that. So I didn't look at these things at this time this way. So then I get the job. I worked at that job 6 months. 7 months later, at the seventh month mark, we got a new manager in this department. Well, for 6 months, I just worked really hard with the current manager that we had to hopefully make it somewhere in this plant that's right in my hometown. Nice facility, been there a while, real big. So the guy left. New manager comes in, and I said, here we go again, starting all over. Well, blessed be to God, I didn't even have to speak. Everybody that was in my department started speaking up for me. And they said, this guy's doing everybody's job around, making it easier, do. And I was like, dang, no way. So in less than 30 days of the new manager, this major facility created a job for me, put me in this job. It was a union facility. So there was a ton of people mad. If anybody that worked with me at that time sees this, they all went in the office, told HR, not this kid. I was a Lance Corporal in the Marine Corps, and nothing got in my way. And yeah, I stayed there for 4 years. I ran a team leader position for a tier 1 supplier for Ford, Dodge, and Chrysler. The owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars owned the facility. He came and saw me personally on my plant floor. So I get done, that he leaves. My manager comes up. He's like, Greg, great job. The only thing I got for you, everything looks fantastic. Next time, empty the trash cans. So you're never good enough, right? It's little things like this that keep coming at you, keep weighing down on you, but you don't see them. You're not seeing them. You're just in your weeds, living your life, climbing through. What I do believe is, if I would have accepted, is the word that I've come aware to now, if I would have accepted the faith that was being forced upon me, I probably would have seen things a little bit different at that time. However, being rebellious and combative like every kid is, right? That's the attitude I was in.
Mm-hmm.
So I just I'm working hard and doing these things. These are all me. Well, not the case later on in life. But so I worked that job for 4 years and said, hey, I want to be able to run the plant. I need promotion. I need growth. So I took a job as a plant supervisor down in Detroit, Michigan, and it was great. I ended up taking over the next facility. They had 2 plants. I spent 4 years with them. I met my beautiful wife there. Had my first son there. Had a nice corner office. Was going great. Was doing all the wonderful things. We were going to church. Everything was beautiful. And then somebody else's greed decided to disrupt and derail our good time and 85 other families. And at that point, there's another hit where you're starting to feel that it doesn't matter who you work for, doesn't matter what job you do, doesn't matter how hard you try, you're going to get kicked down. So at some point, a friend of mine, as we were liquidating this company, said, Greg, you need to get into sales. And he was a customer service rep for me. He's right here in Orlando running a large roofing company. And he said, you need to get into high ticket roofing sales. So that's what I did. I went and became a very high producer for very large roofing company, national roofing company. They sent me all over the U.S. Talking to offices, just going in. The first time he asked me to do it, the regional manager, he said, "Hey, can you go here?" And I said, "Sure." Take a week vacation. So now I said, "What do you want me to do there, though? Like, is there some training?" I was a senior sales rep at this time, so I figured there was something that needed to be done.
Yeah.
He said, "No, just take Greg Vaselli, Lansing, down to Greg Vaselli, Omaha." And I said, "I can do that." So as soon as I walked in the door, it just shared my life gifts. Nor did I see it at this point this way. And so I just went in, shared my life gifts, was happy, motivated, loved what I was doing, had fun with everybody, trained some things, and then went to the next one. Well, after a while, I was making great money. I had an awesome house, beautiful kids, great job, working all the hours I could ask for, making all the money I could ask for. But I was still miserable. I was still unhappy.
Oh, okay.
Why, right? Why bringing such a burden onto my family, onto the close ones around me? Why am I not expressing and feeling joy, right? So I would say during that time of working this sales job and refinding somebody that I wasn't for 10 years as a plant manager, operations manager. I spent a whole decade doing that. Um, it was kind of like, wow, do you really know who you are? You know?
Mhm.
And so I'm nearing I'm in my early 30s at this point. This is just a few years ago. I'm 37 now for anybody wondering, but um so yeah, I kind of took a step back and was like, what's going on with me? And you can't really help yourself in these situations. You're kind of at a mental standstill of like early midlife crisis. Um and unfortunately, I wasn't able to see it, and I did unfortunately get divorced. The wife, she left me, and I can smile about it now because, due to the grace of God and him just kind of letting me see the light, allowing me to accept His reality, I was able to win her back, and not even worth, I didn't even fight for it, you know. I just started walking in the right path of what I knew I was not accepting before, and I was putting away, and I wasn't okay with, and I was ashamed of. And I set all my shame and all my fear and all my anxiety to the side. And I said, well, if this regional manager, if this guy, if these people can see me push out into the world and allow my life gifts to be better for others, why can't I be grateful enough to see that? And that's really kind of the piece that I would wake up in the morning and remember what I'm so grateful for, the things that the Lord has blessed me with that others aren't as blessed with, and that I should never feel the way I did. I just need to find better ways to share my life gifts with others. That's exactly why I'm here with you today, Jonathan, is
Yeah.
because I need to take every avenue possible to spread the good word of why you can have the strength to be who you truly want to be, and it's not coming from yourself. It's coming from something much higher than you.
Dude, 100%. Wow. Thank you.
That's
Appreciate
me.
it. I got a lot of questions, but,
Yeah,
like, that was a phenomenal, like, so let me try to make sure I can maybe summarize,
cool.
and understand fully. You
Yeah,
you went from out of high school, you started burying cables,
yep,
and then you got into some issues with, some taxes,
yep,
and then that led you into a slump, and then
yeah,
out of the slump, I guess uh, did you choose the Marine Corps
yeah.
because of the slump or to get out of the slump, or how was that?
Yeah, it got me out of the slump. Yep. The people I was with, the things I was hanging around, actually what I told myself was my grandparents had just passed about a year prior to that.
Oh,
And
sorry
I
to
was
hear that.
raised by my
Yeah.
grandparents at that time. So I literally remember telling myself my grandparents would literally roll in their grave if they knew what I was doing.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I packed up all my bags and I drove down to Indiana where my mom was living. I moved in with my mom because I hadn't seen her since high school, la di da. And 29 days later, I was on my way to Paris Island. I was like, yeah, I got to make a change. Grandpa would be proud of me. He was World War II. He was the Army.
Okay.
My dad was the Army. So I only went with the Marine Corps because there was growing up with my dad being the Green Beret type that he is. I had to just be better than him. That's really why the Marine Corps.
I get it. Hey, I mean, my family was in the Navy,
Yep.
or like at least my stepfather and a lot of my uncles. They were all in the Navy.
Yep.
Actually, so I'm Filipino.
Okay.
Or
I was wondering.
I'm mixed Filipino, but both of my grandparents they joined the Navy to come to the U.S.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
mother's and my father's side of the
Oh, that's cool.
grandparents joined the Navy, come to the U.S. So
Yep.
military is I'm very familiar with that life.
It's interesting. And it's very like for me with my family now, my wife is no military background whatsoever. She's very sweet. She's the sweetest woman I've ever
That's
met.
nice.
So that's why she's a very good counteraction to me. But it's tough being a very strict household that I come from where you have 10 commandments and this is how you live. This is what time you go to bed. And to my wife who's a little bit more laid back and
Yeah.
a little bit more understanding. So you always have to find your yin and yang.
I know. I get it. I get it. So at this time, before you were going to the, military, before you went
Mhm.
to the Marine Corps, were you, did you believe in Jesus? Did you believe in
Mm-mm,
Christ at that
mm-mm.
point?
No, it was very forced, on me until I was 13 and I got out of my grandparents' house, and then my grandpa basically said, 'cause I talked to him when we moved out because went to catechism every Wednesday, church every Sunday from 5 until 13. That is part of your life, and then your dad gets his act together, and we actually get our own place. it was a big separation at that time of like, oh my gosh, all of this strict lifestyle, prayers before dinner, stuff like that is gonna change, And so I did have a conversation with him, and I just told him like, like I really don't believe in all that stuff. And he just literally said to me, "That's okay." He said, "Because one day when you're ready for Jesus Christ, you'll know it."
That's the truth.
And literally, yeah. And so when just a couple years ago, when I was going through stuff, I was like, "Grandpa, I hear you, man. I hear you. Sorry it took so long. I'm listening." So yeah,
Okay.
it's a journey.
Dude, okay, no, I mean, I was similar, right? I didn't actually come. I was saved 2024,
Yeah,
2
we'd
years
like
ago.
to hear about
2
this.
years ago, absolutely, yeah, 2 years ago. But let's finish on yours
Mhm, mhm.
because so you went from the military and then you went to uh, you got a sales. No, you went to the plant, right?
Yep,
You went to
yep,
working at the plant.
yep. Right in my hometown. I mean, I couldn't believe it. So like when I got the job there, 20 minutes after I turned in the app, they called me for an interview. Like,
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. Did you believe at that point or no?
mm-mm,
No, okay, you were
mm-mm,
just like, "Oh, this is a coincidence.
mm-hmm.
The universe is,
Yeah,
shining
no,
on me."
I was atheist,
Okay, yeah.
is the
Hey,
correct,
I believe that
correct
too.
term, yeah. I would tell people that nothing happens to you when you die, you lay 6 feet in the ground.
I
That's
believe that at one point too.
that was
I
my
definitely don't
Yeah,
do it now, but
yeah, no, not at all, and so mind and spirit is where I'm at, but, um yeah, back then, when I got that job, I thought I was bulletproof. I was a Lance Corporal in the Marine Corps. We were just getting ready to deploy. I didn't care about a whole lot of anything. Like, I was 30 some thousand dollars in debt, to the IRS. Like, I was a kid and, felt this way. So the things that I was doing, they weren't very godly. So it's
yeah,
no surprise that I
I get
wasn't I wasn't doing very good.
it. Okay. So let's fast forward a little bit. So
Mhm.
you had the job and you kept going and then you did really well. The managers, just
Yeah.
promote, went into sales.
Yep.
Let's talk about, I mean, I'm also, so we have a lot in common, believe it
Very
or
good.
not. Like I've also been divorced.
Okay. Very good.
So I understand how that feels.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's being divorced or going through divorce, it's
Yeah.
not fun at
Yeah.
all.
Stay strong.
Yeah, stay strong. There
Oh,
is another side
yep, for sure.
outside of that. So let's talk about that, right? So
Yep,
that's a pretty it can get pretty dark, right?
yep,
I know for me it got really dark. So
yep,
for you, is that when you found Christ? Or tell me
yeah,
more about when you found Christ and how that process was.
yeah, okay. So you pretty much just, nailed it on the head, right? It gets very dark, because for most people that go through that tough phase in life, for some, it's almost needed for you to break out of what you were trying to be or who or what was trying to go on to get you to allow comfort into your life is the best way I can describe it, is because you have all these expectations built up behind your marriage and behind your children and behind the values that are created from your parents that was their parents that helps you continue to go. So then when you get into your house and you start living and you start, this person has an opinion too, right? Your partner has the values that were created from their parents. Coming into one home and finding that solid balance as a guy like myself who's been a plant manager, a sergeant in the Marine Corps, a team leader since 19, owned his own business right out of high school. Having a partner really wasn't in my forte. Well, you still have to care, and that's what I didn't do. I didn't see a lot of care. I saw only get the job done, on to the next one, get the job done, on to the next one, and unfortunately, that's how I was raised. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I was just skipping my beat and going about my drum. That's really when I was struck by God, right? Because I didn't see it any other way, and I only saw it as a way out, right? And because most of the time when you go through these tough spots, like divorce, you're kind of blind to it. You're kind of like, I didn't see that coming. That's interesting. I didn't know you felt that way. You're basically trying to put out a fire that you can't really put out. So what what you have to do is you have to reflect, and you have to have something to reflect on. So that's what happened. I started reflecting back on my grandpa and my grandma, who were 66 years of marriage through the Great Depression, 7 kids, 160-acre farm, and driving uphill both ways with no shoes on to work. So that is what started filling back into me. And my grandfather saying, hey, you know, when it's time, you'll know it, And so then, what actually was a big thing for me, Jonathan, and that's why I use social media,
Yeah.
was I created a TikTok for the first time.
This is during the divorce
Yep.
or after you already divorced?
Yeah, right. Like she said, hey, I filed for divorce. I went and bought flowers. I handed her flowers.
All
I
right.
said, I'm
Yeah.
very sorry about this.
Sure, sure, sure. Oh
I
my
opened a
goodness.
TikTok.
Open a TikTok.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I got up to 1,000 followers and I started walking on my treadmill every morning. I'd walk on 3 miles on my treadmill every morning, and I had
Phone there.
people there. I had people there to talk to me, And I
Okay.
had my TikTok on, and the next thing you know, I got 140,000 people watching me walk on my treadmill at 9 a.m. on a Thursday. And I'm like, what's going on here, Okay, so that's when everything really changed for me. And I said, I'm in therapy at this time. I went and got a therapist.
Okay.
I got a life coach, Cosmaro. Check him out. Life changing. So my therapist sat there and he said, Greg, do you think you did all this stuff in the Marine Corps and this team leader job and all this? You think that just all magically happened because you're so great, you're bulletproof? No. He said, okay, cool. Now that you're humble enough to accept that the universe doesn't revolve around you, you're no longer a child anymore. Let me ask you, do you believe that there is potential that someone might have had their hand on your shoulder just guiding you to where he needed you to be today?
Mm.
And I went, oh, yeah, because I couldn't have done this. I didn't even know how to do that. Like we were talking about the cameras, right?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
even know
yeah.
where that came from. It just all of a sudden my hands
All of a
worked and
sudden.
there you go, And so that him saying that to me, Drew, you are the man. I'll never forget it. And I teach it to my kids like, oh, my son will do some amazing stuff. And I'll be like, praise God, you're able to do that. That's, just to let him know, like, that ain't you. Like, you didn't
Yeah.
do that. Take the wheel. So, I opened up a TikTok. All these things happened to me, and I started posting about faith. And I just knew that
Wow.
I needed to be tore down, down into my shadows before He allowed me to rise to where I needed to be. And that's where I came out the crumbles.
Wow. And then so that's what you're doing today. You're posting about faith.
Yep. Yep.
Dude,
Just
praise God.
staying on the lean. Just because you have to. So for, I wanted to talk to you about this, but so I have actually never read the Bible.
Yeah.
Just started reading the Bible after your and I's chat, just because
Wow.
you'd made mention of you were like, oh, what part is that? And I went, man, I can't even tell you my entire life how much I've heard people say, wasn't that Proverbs? And I'm like,
Yes.
man, I don't know any of that stuff. I've listened to the Bible
Okay.
numerous times. Part of the reason that I gave myself an excuse of why I never read the Bible was the Lord's word was to be heard, not
Sure.
spoken. You're
Sure.
supposed to be special to speak the word, right? Well, I never realized that I'm out here speaking the word right now.
Yeah.
I always thought it was this. This is the scripture you read. This is how you present the Lord. Well, no.
No.
I'm actually just presenting him in myself, letting you know that
You're
He's
walking.
there.
Yeah.
I'm walking in the way of the
You're
Lord.
walking by faith, not by
Yep.
sight. You're actually presenting yourself as a representative of the Lord Jesus Christ,
Yep.
right? In a way.
Yep. That's how I see it, as just a little
so
disciple, because that's why I was mentioning I'd never read the Bible, was because very much like my childhood, it was pressed into me and it was shoved and it was crammed into me.
Wow.
And I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear anything about it.
I get
So
it.
I definitely don't speak that way because I know how it can make people feel. And it's not necessarily like I'm gonna make and there's points in the Bible about this, right? And I'm not shunning or shunning away from him to speak his name, but I only want them to hear the words that he needs them to hear. So I don't if I need to speak out, then I shall, right? And I
Yeah.
feel seeking the joy to do that. But if I go out of my way to provide, then he doesn't want that, right?
No, well, dude. Yes, going out of your way, dude. I've when I first came to the faith, right? Oh, so well, first off, I'm very happy to hear that whatever I said planted a seed to get you to start to
Yeah.
spend some time with God, because
Yeah.
the best thing to do is to learn who our creator is, to learn who loves you, and to learn who we actually serve and who provides us everything, right?
Yeah.
And the
Yep.
best way we could do that is, learning the ways of Jesus, learning the way of God, and how that sort of works. So,
Yep.
but to your point, yes, I've made a pretty huge mistakes after I was saved, trying to do exactly what you said. Oh, I want to prove
Mhm.
to God that I'm worthy to be
Right.
saved. I want to be there and to make myself like, oh, I'm really really good. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to do more and more, and right. And so I sort of forced it and
Sure.
forced it,
Yep.
and that's where honestly, that's where like sin can start to really creep in. And brother, I'll be vulnerable with you, and I don't tell a lot of people, but I'm
Yeah.
completely open to it. But I've been what's it called? When I first came to the faith, right?
Mm.
I tried to do that. I tried to like, prove that God I was worth saving. Because
Yep.
truth be told, God knows like I was done. I was,
Yep.
suicidal. I was
Yeah.
dead. I was gone.
Yep.
I was donezo.
And look at the smile on your face today.
Oh, brother,
Praise be to God.
dude, I'm blessed. Every moment I'm blessed.
Yep.
Why could I not be?
Yep.
How could I not be when I know that I didn't save myself? My son couldn't save me. My wife couldn't save me. Nobody in my family, nothing could save me.
Yeah.
And it was, I prayed, dude, I'll tell you,
Yeah, I'd like to hear.
I prayed to God, and I didn't believe. I didn't believe, by the way.
Never in your past?
Well, I know we're going all over the place,
That's okay, just
but
curious.
I'm good. No, so I just want to make sure we touch on all the points. But
Mhm.
so when I was a kid, I went to like Sunday school and
Okay.
here and there
Okay.
a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But military family,
Yeah.
right? Moved every 3 years,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
there was no really establishment to a
Yep.
church, right? And so
Yep.
every time we moved, just get uprooted and go,
Sure.
uprooted and go. And
Yep.
so, there was a period of like, 1 to 3 years that I was, involved with the church as a kid. So
Yep.
I know who sort of God was
Sure.
from Bible school or Sunday school
Yeah, yep.
as a kid.
Yep.
Apologize. One
No, you're
second.
okay.
This is bad. Utah, man. Utah is calling me. What? Spam raise, man. Sorry.
That's how it goes.
Let me turn that down. Okay. Sorry. So dude, with intention comes deception.
That's how it goes.
That's the truth. Yeah, exactly what you
But
said.
you were in Sundays you took a little
Yeah, so
Sunday school in the
little bit of
past.
Sunday school. Okay, so after that, like, my mother and my mother was the one taking me, but I was with my mother was married to a stepfather and he was in the Navy too.
Okay.
And so that was a whole nother strictness that
Yep.
was next level.
Yep.
Straight up.
Yep.
And so anyways, went throughout my whole life, high school, college, didn't really believe.
Okay.
Like I was being led further and further away. I did at one point, but I kept leading further and further away. The world, basically.
Yeah.
I just, followed the world.
Yeah.
I didn't have a relationship. I didn't really foster that relationship, and I didn't have any mentor. My father wasn't a believer.
Yeah.
Or nobody was really a believer
Yeah.
that was around me, and so I was just surrounded by no non-believers.
Yep.
And so the divorce happened and all these things happened, right? Like,
Yeah.
life just went hurt after hurt after hurt,
Yeah.
just like further down, down, down. And then at one point, I couldn't understand because my heart was good. I truly wanted good things for people.
Yeah.
Like, but even though,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, I just
And just
wanted
let me
good.
kick you real quick. How strong are you?
Pretty, I mean, hey, like that's one way
That's
to
the
put
whole
it.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And so, my heart was still good, but I couldn't understand why this world was so wicked.
Yep.
I mean, like the truth is like, I didn't know I was doing so well. Like I didn't know like why was I going through a divorce? Why was I
Yeah.
doing this? Like why do they do it? Like all these things were happening, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what led me to I was at my desk one day and I was like, I was so demonically oppressed.
Yeah.
Like looking back, I was tremendously demonically oppressed because, dude, when I tell you, like, I mean, I couldn't understand how the world was so wicked, but I was literally hearing voices in my head,
Yeah.
and the voices were saying to kill them all, kill them
Yeah.
all, kill them all. It was so
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
because I was like, I don't want to kill anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody.
Right.
And so like I just saw the deeper and deeper. There was a period of like a week. I was just going deeper and deeper. And anyways, like I couldn't go on any longer. I was
Mhm.
like, if I keep going on the way I'm going on, I'm going to hurt somebody, and I don't want to hurt anybody. I
Right.
don't want to hurt my family. I don't want to hurt anybody.
Right.
So the only solution, which is not a solution, right? The only solution, the deception of the enemy, was to say, "Hey, end your life. be done. Right. And that was the only solution that I, as Jonathan, as a person, could think about.
Yep.
And so that's why I say nobody could save me. A family couldn't save me. My wife, son, nobody could save me. I was with my fiance at the time. Was and I got remarried now, so I think
Okay, good.
praise God.
Yep.
She brought me a little bit closer to the church. And,
Yeah.
and anyways, it
Right.
it got to a point where nobody could save me,
Mhm.
and I was done. And so I prayed to God two things, and would you like to hear
Yeah,
those two
please
things?
do.
Okay, these two things was this: I prayed and I said, God, you know, I'm sorry. Please forgive me because I can't go on any longer. Okay, that was the first thing. And the second thing I prayed was, if it's your will that I end today, that my life is over today, I give my life to you to decide because I can't even decide. Dude, in that moment, like straight up, I basically prayed for forgiveness.
Mhm.
I didn't even know what I was doing. I prayed for forgiveness and I surrendered my life
Mhm.
to the Lord's will.
Mhm.
In that moment, Jesus literally lifted me up from my own abyss. Like I was black up there. I could only see darkness. He literally lifted me up from my own
Could
abyss.
almost feel it inside you.
Dude, I had 100% without zero doubts. And it was instant peace.
Mhm.
My heart was all the depression, all the oppression, everything was just gone.
All the wonders, all the thoughts of what this person's
Yeah.
opinion, where these
Dude,
values.
anxieties,
Yeah,
worries,
yeah.
everything was just
You just let
gone.
him take the wheel.
Exactly. When I surrendered my life, my will, and my everything to God,
Yeah.
and I didn't even know what I was doing, but
Right.
but like, thank the Lord that like that little bit of a mustard seed of a faith that I had.
Yep.
That's the truth.
Yep.
As a kid, like 1 or 2 years in the Bible,
Yep.
in the Sunday school, just knew who God was, right?
Yep.
That little bit of faith. And even though like I went 30 years of my life,
Yep.
right? Didn't know,
Yep.
didn't follow.
You gotta walk through the valley first.
Dude, it was the way it was
You gotta find
intense.
out how bad it
It
is.
was intense. And so that little bit of faith that I had, it allowed me to just pray to God as my last hope. It was the
Good.
rock at rock. He was the rock at rock bottom,
Yeah.
as they say. And
Yeah.
so ever since that moment, like I knew God was real. But
Yeah.
the funny thing enough is this: after I was saved, I didn't know who God was.
Right. Then it's a whole new learning opportunity.
Then it was like, I know I didn't save myself.
Yep.
I know God
Yep.
saved me.
Yep.
Who is God?
Right.
Right? And then that it literally went through like a period of like 3 months of just exploration. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I know I didn't save myself. Was it Buddha?
Mhm.
Was it
Right.
Muhammad?
Right, right,
Was
right.
it
Right.
the cabal? Was it
Mhm.
who was it? Like what
Mhm.
Confucius? Did he
Mhm.
save me?
Mhm.
Right? And then through in the Bible it says, seek and you shall find.
Yeah.
Right? Knock and the door will be opened unto
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And I was seeking the truth, and I was seeking the truth. And the more I said, the more, because I was always into business, I always
Okay.
loved business. So I kept listening to these business people and just listening to like what they were saying. And and I never heard it before. I
Sounds a
literally
little
heard,
different now.
dude, it totally sounds different because
Yeah.
I literally heard them say like, oh, the Bible, Jesus, the Bible. And I was like, hold on. I tried to look at everything else, but I didn't actually look at
Mhm.
like Christianity and look at
Yep.
Jesus, even though I went to Sunday school, like
Sure.
I
Sure.
didn't put
Yeah.
anything to one and two together. But dude, at that moment, I was like, let me order the Bible. And dude, 1 day shipping, next day shipping,
Yeah.
overnight shipping from Amazon. Dude, I got a Bible right at my door. I
Yep.
was like, bro, what? That's crazy. And
Yep.
so my wife, she told me, what kind of Bible to get. I got the NIV just to start reading it. And so started reading the New Testament
Yeah.
of the Bible. It was a Matthew, Mark, and Luke,
Okay. Yep.
and John. And so I started reading the New Testament of the Bible, and dude, my life was just changed. Like every bit, I knew this was Jesus. He saved my life, and I just like,
Yeah.
dude, it was amazing.
Well, so what's so interesting about religion is that it's all over, right? You named it. It's got
Yeah.
Buddha, you got all this, got all this. So what I've come to find in my experience in it is it's a lot like life,
Mm,
and you're allowed your perspective, right? And how you perceive your perspective to seek joy, peace, and happiness while you're here in hell.
mm-hmm.
Choose however you do that, right? But
Sure.
it's the perspective of the opposite trait, like we'd had prior, where, you know, it's expectations.
Yeah.
I did all these things and everything should be great. Why isn't it? The minute you say, God, why isn't it? That's when you know you're a little twisted around. But if you're still blind with no walk, you don't know where you're heading or why the direction is going that way, and you're just saying, hey, why is this? Well, that's why you're not following a faith path. But now, multiple religions, different types, all these things, again, there is a lot of different people in this world. There's a lot of different corners of this world. And isn't it very interesting? Somehow, all the way across every one of these lands, there's some sort of God.
Mhm.
There's some sort of leader, higher spirit, whatever you might
Mhm.
say, right? So let's not look down on those of those that feel that there's Zeus still, things like this, right? All you have to do is walk in your faith and then the way you believe, and then if and necessary, that it'll be heard, right? We don't make those choices as Catholics. I just wait until I go see the guy and then say, man, I hope you like what I did while I was down there. I said I was sorry the whole time, man. And you got to understand that inside yourself, your spirit is what's going to answer for you yourself here on earth. So go see yourself up there, and hopefully you were good to those around you and yourself when that time comes.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yes, there is a lot of confusion in the world,
Mhm.
right? Let's start with that. There's a lot
Yeah,
of confusion in the world,
yeah.
but if you start looking at, history and what
Mhm.
has happened, right? A lot of times people will, um, they'll like persecute Christianity.
Yeah.
It's like the number
Yeah, it's
one.
the modern religion.
It's the number one thing that people are so against.
Yeah.
But you got to ask why.
Well, I think it's because they made it so convenient. And religion, if you look at some religions, you have to take
It's the
time out of
rules. It's the rules of
that's
it
the
all.
rules. Yeah. So like that's the big thing about why, in my opinion,
Mhm.
about why that's like you know looked at that way. It's the
Yeah.
modern religion. But
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, looking at a faith based perspective is that's what a lot of me and my friends talk about when we do talk religion.
Yeah.
Not a lot of my friends are wherever churchgoers, but still, a lot of them will say, "Well, I believe there's a higher power," right?
Mhm.
Well, I'm now confirmed, especially with our relationship, that you literally need to go through trials, hard tribulations before you identify what your perspective is, right? So I had tough perspectives in the past that changed and made the perspectives I have today, but without going through those tribulations and finding myself in the valley and hearing the things spoken to me by others and actually
Yeah.
being aware enough to listen instead of being the bulletproof vest, that's when you can start having an actual true perspective on religion. But
Yeah.
the biggest thing is just accepting that to find yourself a little peace in life, accept that everything you did today is not to make for a better tomorrow. Somebody else has already chosen that for you. You just have to be willing to accept it.
Yeah.
Because the minute you start getting back into, I did all these great things, why am I not successful? Why am I not happy? That's because you don't have a purpose. There's not.
There
And
you
when I
go.
say a purpose, I don't mean like I woke up today to punch the clock. What's your purpose in life? What
There you
gifts are
go.
you providing to others that give you the reward on the inside that's not financially based?
And that's something that a lot of people in the world will always wonder.
Yep.
Right. And I remember I was in my 20s, like, what the heck am I supposed to do
Yeah.
here? Like, what are we doing here? Like,
Yeah.
am I just supposed to make money and just like
Yeah.
just buy stuff and
Yeah.
just what am I doing here? Right.
Yeah.
And so, and that's where, the purpose came from Jesus,
Yep.
right? The purpose came from Jesus Christ. And
Yep.
and he gave me the Holy Spirit. He gave me all these things. And I was just like, what in the world? And so all I do, man, nowadays, like and the truth is like all I do is live for God.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I just live for him.
I want to hit on a point with that statement.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about the Bible and some things in the Bible is it was written so long ago, Old Testament, New Testament. Things that happened to John, Paul,
Yeah.
Peter, Adam and Eve, they still happen today to
Correct.
us in 2026.
Correct.
How is this book still related to us, right?
It's
So
eternal, yeah.
yeah. So that's what I find is knowing that I'm walking in God's manner today, living in his faith. I'm just not in the book. I didn't get a little segment, right? I'm
Well,
not
I think everyone's got their own walk, right?
right,
Like, and I
right.
think I think you're exactly right, right? Everyone's at a different stage and everyone's like there's timing for everything. It's
Yeah,
God's timing. Like you just
yeah,
gotta trust in him that he will lead you to the right people. He'll lead you to the right,
Yep.
the right insights, the right inspirations
Yep.
to things. So
Totally. I call it radical acceptance. As soon as you just forget it, give it all to God and allow that to be what it is, I promise you, all of the things that you've been desiring and driving for and thriving for, what should come to you will come to you. What you're ready for, it will be received. But as soon as you're in the dwell of gimme, 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 I expect,
yeah,
that's when you're going to lose.
dude, 100%. And so when when we find our purpose, when we or we're given the direction, right,
Yeah.
to
Yep.
move, right? The only question is, are we going to do that,
Right.
right? And so for me,
That's
and
right. That's the disciples right there. It's like,
yeah,
are you gonna go say the right things or not? And then how long will you? And until when won't you, right?
yeah.
And that is the hardest part about religion is still believing. Is
Well, I think it's more. It's not necessarily about too much. Like, okay, so I think it's more about relationship and
Yep,
like faith
yep,
in Jesus, right?
yep,
Faith in the relationship you have because he's within us, right?
yep,
If you accept him into your heart, he's within you and he's
yeah,
here. And so religion, there's a lot of these, and that's where a lot of the confusion happens, right? Like people will set rules. I mean, you have like different, even in the Christianity itself, you
mhm,
have like Catholics, you have Baptists, you have
yep,
Mormons, and you have all like just various
yep,
various types of like rules to follow Jesus.
right,
But Jesus never said you got to follow these rules. He
yeah,
said just follow him,
yeah,
follow Jesus,
yep,
follow him. And so that's why it's like the walk is different.
it is, yep,
As everyone walks with him different. I mean, he has Matthew doing different things, and he had Peter doing.
yeah.
He had all these people doing.
Well,
Judas
and
was
they were
holding the
doing
things.
different things too to him. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, just and everything. Because you're gonna get all of it as long as you're walking that path. I do believe that only good things are gonna come to you the way they're supposed to come to
that's
you.
so cool. And so while you walk this path, let's get back into you're walking this path. And I walk this path, and he's given me my business.
Yep.
The truth is, like, I used to work with the big towers. I used to make
Yeah.
hundreds of millions of dollars for the big towers.
Yeah.
Lowe's, Olive Garden, big companies, like
Yeah.
the Fortune companies, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars, just like it's just numbers on the screen. It's like
Yeah.
millions of people to the thing, hundreds of thousands of sales every day. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Right? And just like, okay, we uptick that 10%, boom, all of a sudden there's another 10 million, right?
Yeah.
Right? And so, like he calls us to do business with our own hands. And I that's why I love what you're doing.
Yeah.
Literally, you're doing handyman. You're
Yep.
literally using your hands,
Yep.
which is has been built up over time of your
Yeah.
skill set throughout the years. And same with me. My hands are typing, right? My
Yeah.
hands are in front of the computer. And now my hands are, he's given me the
Yeah.
studio, he's given me the
Exactly.
podcast, he's
Yeah.
given me like, an opportunity to talk and to share and to
Yep.
meet and commune with other business owners. And so like he's given me the podcast, he's given me my business to help and elevate businesses. And so that is like a level of like that's really the crux of why I even have the podcast is like he's given me the podcast of the God's Business Podcast. Like the name of in
Yeah.
itself is just it's just so like out there. Like you don't just do that. Nobody
Exactly.
just does that.
Yep.
As a person who didn't believe, like, dude, absolutely not. So he gave me this, and so I'd steward to that. And so I would love to hear your
Cool.
perspective on. Now we understand about your business, and
Mhm.
you're doing a lot with your hands, and you're creating, you're fixing, and you're
Yeah.
helping a lot to solve and to share the love of Jesus to other people in their homes.
Yeah.
And then now you're doing your business, and you found Christ, and he saved you, and he fixed your marriage. Praise be to
Yep.
God.
Yep. For sure.
And now you have two. Yeah, I think you two children.
2, yep.
Yeah, two
Son and a
beautiful.
daughter.
Yeah, two beautiful children that go to Disney, and
Yep.
you're a present figure in their life, and
Oh, yeah.
you're sharing the word. I mean, dude, that's beautiful.
Yep.
And so, how is that walk now that you continue to go on, and how is that day to day? And you know, as he calls you to do things, what does that look like? I'm just so curious. I know there's a lot,
Do you see
but
that? Do you see
yeah,
that? That was relief, though, because that's what it feels like. Because prior to acceptance, because I always knew it was real, I always knew that this was going on, but finally accepting it prior to acceptance, there was a driving desire of accomplishment, of success, of how I measured that, and that I needed to show up Now, when I went and walked through the valley, the darkness part, I was able to assess all of those values and identify that, well, they weren't really my values. They're a little bit of my father's, a little bit of my dad's, a little bit of my mom's. Heck, my brother was in there a little bit. So I was able to start evaluating my own values. And then I actually found out I was a pretty simple guy and I only have like 3 things I care about. So, like, why am I all over here on X, Y, and Z? So now when I meet you and I sit in front of the camera and I have a cordial conversation, I don't really care who's driving by. I just only care that this is where he wants me right now. So as long as I seek joy and I'm having a purposeful meaning to doing it, I'm not just nonchalantly doing bad things to seek joy, right? That's the intent, is staying godly. Um, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be just fine. I don't need as much money as I made last year. My kids need to eat, be fed. I need to be able to read, sleep, and eat. They need to be able to do, and then just be okay and know that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, where he wants you to be, if you're willing to accept that. If you can look at that and say, this is the face value of where I need to be today because this is your choice, this is where you choose for me to be, because I have been walking in this good, godly manner and I'm just preaching and speaking and doing the right things. Dude, it's relieving. It literally is relieving. It's
That's
stress
great.
relieving. It's like, thank you for taking the wheel. And that's how I feel a lot. I think we had the
Yeah.
chat. I was carrying shingles up the roof, hot summer day,
Yeah.
all by myself, and I was down and man, I can't believe I'm down. I was having fun until yesterday. And then I went, well, geez, big guy, if this is where you got me right now, this
Yeah.
is where
Yeah.
you got me. And you just get that reboost of energy that he provides you because this is where he needs you to be right now.
Wow.
And that's really the biggest thing that gets me through every single one of my hard times anymore, where I had hard times every day, all day long, just due to the perspectives that were created throughout time and understanding of things, where now I'm good. Hey, you got it, big guy. See you soon enough. Like, let me do my part, take care of the kids here, get as much time as I can with them, because there's things inside that tell you what should be going on. Those are your values. Those are what you've created inside you that are important to you. Now, walk in a godly manner and achieve those. When you start knocking off milestones and you start pulling your kids out of school and you start spending every morning with them going over their A's and B's, you start feeling exactly what I'm talking about. It's stress relieving. It's all of the values and things that were built up just being accepted and saying, "Hey, thanks for letting me do this today."
So there are two Bible verses that came to mind when you were telling me that. Can I share
Okay.
those with you?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I don't remember the exact verse itself from the Bible, but it's when Jesus is saying, I, I have a mentor. He calls it the Messiah marketing method.
Okay.
It's pretty interesting because it's very similar to there's a lot of ways to perceive the Bible, right? But
Yeah.
come to me, all you are who are weary and heavy burdened, and He will give you rest,
Yeah.
right? Because His yoke is easy and light, right? And so that's one way, right?
Beautiful.
You just lean on Him, and then the other one isn't from Proverbs. I think Proverbs 3:5 or something is
Hmm.
like, you know, lean not on your own understanding, or like trust in God and lean not on your own understanding.
Yeah.
And
Right.
there's so many, and so like
I like that. That's it.
even one of the ones that I've lived my life with is like Matthew 6:33 or something, is like, seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and
Yeah.
all these things will be provided unto you,
Right.
right? And so if you live and you know these
Yeah.
words and you know these,
Beautiful. Yeah.
and brother, I'm not the best Bible scholar. Like, the truth
You're
is, like,
killing it.
I
Give
it's
them on.
it sounds like it, but when you meditate on the word through the day and
Right.
through those moments of hardship and
Yeah.
through getting off the roof and being,
Yeah.
getting the shingles and being
I'm a
super.
couple years in now.
Yeah,
So, like, now I look at it and I'm like, yeah, these hard times that I see today, they're nothing. Like,
yeah,
because of that, because I just lean back and say, thank you for accepting me to allow myself to accept you.
absolutely.
It is very relieving, would be the number one thing. The biggest change is just knowing that, like, I'm not in charge.
Dude, there we go. We're not in charge. So even though we run a business, the way I
Right.
look at it is like he's the
Yeah. Well,
CEO.
and that's what gave me the strength was because like, yeah, well, why wouldn't I put my name on something? I don't even control it. Like
There you
it's
go.
not even me. So then I started, one of my biggest things was that I needed to provide my life gifts to others. Well, what are those?
Wow.
Well, this is where this works. This is where this works. And now that's where the missus came up and she said, hey, other people could use this too. So I just started listening. Right. And I was like, well, that's when they started back in the day first speaking the Lord. It was spoken out in the streets and somebody was reading
Yeah,
the
right,
book,
right,
right? So that's when it even says it in the Bible that the words that are you're hearing are his words speaking to you.
right.
Will you listen?
Mm.
And so that's all I started doing was seeking joy and listening to others.
So
And
good, man.
here we are today.
That's so good. That's so good. Well, I know we've been here for, I've enjoyed the conversation
Yeah,
quite a
me
bit.
too, Jonathan. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, and is there anything that you would like to leave the audience here today as we've wrap up a little bit?
Um, yeah, I mean, um, have trust in yourself and faith in God, and at any rate, you're going to be just fine. Like we've kind of discussed all day today, is if you're questioning going out on your own and risking the biscuit, lean on the Lord, and He'll give you the Trisket. That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. Hey, I mean, maybe I should hop on that treadmill.
Should ching ching that thing.
Keep walking the treadmill, and I'll get some ideas and rhymes
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I mean, that's just kind of the way you look at it. Is that's the good 2 cents. That's a big lesson that I've learned from where I'm at, being fearless now and having massive amounts of shame and fear. Is that's all very uh, relieving when you do give yourself to faith. I mean,
I love it.
you don't have to really worry anymore. You
I love
just
it.
just accept.
So how can somebody follow you, get in touch with you, if they want to, work with you? What's
Yeah,
the best place?
absolutely. Well, first of all, check out My Handyman Can. I post all my good reels and videos on that there. I've got a Facebook. I've also got a TikTok. But yeah, you can also find my Facebook at bespokehomesolutions.com or Bespoke Home Solutions LLC. And then we've got the website on the Facebook page there. It's just mibhs.com. But we'll be registered here in Florida and it'll be flbhs.com. So we're getting there.
Nice, nice.
Tennessee's next.
Yeah, so we'll put the links down in the description below, and I'll get those from you in a
Very
bit.
cool.
But
Very cool.
hey, thank you so much for
No,
coming on,
thanks for
Greg.
having me,
This has
Jonathan.
been
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
So
Thank you very
super cool.
much.
Of course, of
God
course.
bless. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. All right, let me pause that record.